Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run over here on youtube.com/GodSaw. That's right, we got that changed. We finally got that changed over here. I thought it was going to be a lot harder. After I got to a point of saying, it's like, hey, we need to get things to be more cohesive over here on the channel. It's like, I figured it was like, okay, I'm going to probably have to do a bunch of different things, and then they're going to... then it's going to take a little bit of extra time. It ended up being relatively painless and relatively easy to do, to get the custom link changed, or the custom URL changed to be GodSaw instead of UC Campbell, where it had been for quite some time. Also, in tow with that change that I've made over here, I've also done that over my Twitch page. It is now called The GodSaw versus it being UC Campbell over there. Again, to keep it a little bit more cohesive to the name of the channel and everything that we are really kind of doing to go along with that. We're not fully here to talk about that. I may do a longer video on that one, just to say a little bit more about it, but we are not here to talk about name changes and everything to go along with that. That's something for a channel update. What we're here to talk about is wrestling and everything that happened in this week of wrestling. So it is currently February the 9th, 2019. This will probably be airing February 10th, 2019 for everyone on the YouTube page, but I am recording on February 9th, and we've had a lot of fun stuff go down this week, and a lot of I won't say a lot of questions, but we had some questions answered and some more questions to be still to be posed or to be answered probably somewhere down the line, hopefully to go along with that. So let's go ahead and start with everything here. We traditionally start with the news side of everything, and we're actually going to stick AEW, All Elite Wrestling, in that news side until they, run a show to go along with it. Let's be 100% fair about it. They haven't run a show yet. Technically, the Bucks and Cody and all them and the All Elite guys did run All In, but that wasn't run under the All Elite banner to go along with it. But they did have a lot of news coming out this week. On Thursday night, they had a press conference held in Las Vegas in front of the MGM Grand at a pool party, which ended up being a very interesting thing because it was about 40 degrees that night and they were doing a pool party to go along with it. So it was kind of funny on that one. Like I said, they had about an hour and 15-minute press conference. I forget how long it ended up going on that particular one, but a lot of big things did come out of that. And we got new talents, new partnerships, and possible matches for, and at least in one case, an actual match being announced for Double or Nothing, but a lot of other potential matchups coming down the line. So to go ahead with the partnerships, so they had announced one partnership with OWE, which is the Chinese promotion coming in. They did bring those guys in. Sorry, I'm not fully familiar with them, so I don't necessarily have any of their names down, but they did tease a match with SCU, SoCal Uncensored, basically Scorpio Sky, Frankie Kazarian, and Christopher Daniels. There was kind of a little bit of a teaser that they would have some kind of a match at Double or Nothing in there. And also they ended up announcing another partnership within the time frame, and that was going to be with AAA. I believe it was the Bucks that announced this, I think, to go along with that, and they ended up bringing out a couple of people that were going to join them in the promotion, or at least going to be having some matches in the promotion to go along with that, and that ends up being Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr., or Penta L0M, as some people do end out calling him down the line. I think he only uses that for AAA and for Lucha Underground. And by that, I mean Pentagon Jr. Those were the traditional ones, but I think they have some weird trademark thing. So usually outside of that, he goes by Penta L0M. What they end up doing is they end up attacking the Young Bucks. Ray Phoenix gives one of them a super kick, and then the other Young Buck gets hit with a package pile driver. So teasing a match between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers coming up for probably Double or Nothing. And we have to say that with a hopefully now. We have to say that with a hopefully because something went really awry at, I believe, an AAE or AAW promotion match in Mexico where Rey Fenix ended up injuring himself after performing a cutter-like move. He ended up grabbing towards his neck, and the match itself went right to the finish from everything to go along with it. I've not seen the spot or anything to go along with it. I've pretty much been going on what's been read or what's readable on this one. I have not watched the move to see what ended up happening on that one, but he did apparently do a stretcher job. Well, not a stretcher job, but he got stretchered out of the arena and taken to the hospital to go along with that. He did get released from the hospital apparently, which is good on that one. He was on crutches, which to a certain degree is bad, but also better. Also good news because he has movement in his limbs and everything to go along with that, because like I said, when he apparently when he performed that move, he ended up coming down and afterwards holding the back of his head and the neck area, which is something that's very scary for anybody on that one, because you can end up losing a lot on that side. So it's good news on the side of him that it may not be as serious as some people initially have thought, because he at least is going to have movement of limbs and everything to go along with that. So hopefully it's not a very serious injury. They say it was a muscle contusion on that one, which I don't know. It's not a skeptical thing or anything to go along with that. It's just like I don't know exactly what the time frame for him being out will be to go along with that. And with May being about it's going to be late May, so it's going to be about 3.5 months away. It may be in some question whether or not we're going to get the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers. Others that like I said, if it wasn't evident before, hopefully Rey Fenix ends out being better soon. Everything to go along with that. Hopefully it's not as serious as everything initially looked like from the side of everything. Like I said, hopefully he ends up getting well soon, and everything ends out not being at a very serious nature. So other people that ended up getting announced at the show, you had Trent and Chuck Taylor, or Chucky T, best friends. They got announced, so they are going to be putting some emphasis on the tag team division. If it wasn't evident on the aspects of bringing in the Lucha Brothers to begin with, and the Young Bucks being in there and being executive vice presidents along with Cody. And we'll talk about something else on that one a little bit later on that one. But there's definitely going to be a decent, well, not a decent, but a very high emphasis on tag team wrestling to go along with it. So maybe that's going to be their hook, is tag team wrestling, and having the best tag team wrestling in the business, because let's be fair, in a lot of other promotions, tag team wrestling is kind of a secondary thing. Yes, New Japan does have the World Tag League, but how many people end up really watching that out of that particular one? How many people end up fully caring about it in any way, shape, or form? You don't really get that vibe from New Japan or from people who watch a lot of New Japan to go along with it. WWE's tag division, well, Raw side is Raw side. It's better. It's better than where it was, but it's still not good at this point. And SmackDown's is better, but let's be fair, it's the Usos, the New Day, and the Bar that have been doing the vast majority of everything, while teams like Sanity and the Club have been on the back burner to go along with it. Most of it and all of the tag division have been with the Usos, the New Day, and the Bar over this last year. And now look at who the tag team champions are, with Miz and Shane to go along with it. This kind of says where the main tag division is. NXT's is better. They're still short on teams, but you're getting good tag matches at all the takeovers, everything that go along with that. Undisputed Era doing a lot of stuff with the tag team division on that one. War Raiders being in there. You don't see too much initially in the terms of potential takeover matches from the Street Profits quite yet. You have the Forgotten Sons in there as well. You're not going to see them probably at a takeover quite yet either, though we may be seeing a little bit more of them down the line. And obviously WWE has to be putting some kind of emphasis a little bit more on their tag teams, because they're also bringing in a women's tag team division to go along with that. That's more than likely going to be split between Raw and SmackDown. I think that, and that brings us back to what this initially is. Maybe this is going to be AEW's main hook, is tag team wrestling and having the best one out there. That was kind of the thing for TNA or Impact Wrestling for the longest period of time before it became a shell of its own self, was the factor that its hook was the X Division. It was, in the terms of a high-flying pseudo-heavyweight cruiserweight area, the X Division was their best thing, was their hook, was their thing that, like, look what these guys do. Where are you going to see this anywhere else? Look at this unique match we have that isn't overly convoluted or anything to go along with that. And they had a massive hook there for a while, and then things started happening with it, and little by little, the lore of the appeal and the lore of the X Division went down and down. It became literally a shell of its own self at that point in time. So, again, like I said, that AEW definitely needs a hook to say, hey, look at us and look what we're doing differently from everyone else, and maybe their tag division may be that thing. Who knows? Who knows where that ends out going? But you're definitely seeing more tag teams coming in, and hopefully they do really well with this one. Other people that got announced, Kylie Ray. So more people for the women's division have been announced on this one. It was very light before now, but they do have some more coming in. So you have Kylie Ray, Nyla Rose. They kind of teased up a match for Double or Nothing on that one. And then you have Aja Kong and Yuka, I cannot pronounce that last name, but you have two more Japanese talents coming in. I'm not familiar with Yuka's particular work here, but Aja Kong, that is a different story. A little bit more of knowing what she's done. So that's kind of a big get on that side of everything, and a very good signing on their side of it. But it wasn't the only. But obviously, with all these other signings, which I thought were very good, you also have Sunny Kiss, which I have not really talked about. He came out beforehand. You have Sony Kiss coming out at the beginning. You also have of everything, so that was a new talent being in there. That character was part of Lucha Underground, and it's more of a flamboyant type character on that one to go along with it. So I've barely seen a lot of work here, so I don't know exactly how it goes. I need to see more work to see how everything definitely goes. But that was a talent that was brought in. And of course, the big one, and honestly, I'm kind of glad this ended out being held off until this point in time to go along with that, because you got a big announcement of Jericho going with All Elite Wrestling for their first rally and everything to go along with that. Around that time, that's when Jericho got brought in. You needed a big one for this one. Lo and behold, who was it? Kenny Omega. So yes, the rumor and innuendo was that Kenny Omega did turn down WWE's offer and was going to go with All Elite Wrestling. Those rumors and innuendos ended up being true, and he showed up at the Double or Nothing press conference, which, by the way, before we fully get into that one, they did announce that there was going to be a pre-sale where people could sign up and get they would get sent an email link down the line when the pre-sale started. It ended up crashing the site. I think within the first night, they ended up getting about 12,000 people signed up on that one who were potentially going to get tickets. And I think with what they said, with the MGM Grand that they had spec'd out for 14,000 seats. So guess what? That show's more than likely going to sell out, which we kind of assumed it was going to do on that side of everything. So full on to go along with this, Kenny Omega does come out. He gets announced as quote unquote the fourth executive vice president. So you have the chief brand officer, which is Brandy Rhodes. So you're kind of recognizing the people of the Elite show are getting the head positions here at AEW to go along with it. But to go along, so Brandy Rhodes again is the chief branding officer to go along with it, and Cody, both the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt, and now Kenny Omega are considered executive vice presidents of the promotion, which is an interesting one to go along with that. It's one of those things that they're going to have to really walk a fine line, and I feel like they have a chance. I'm giving them definitely a chance on this one, but they have to walk a fine line because they're quote unquote the ones in charge. They're also going to be talents, more than likely, on whatever the TV show ends out being, and the main part of the main show as a whole. So do they? It's one of those things that you kind of go about it, and if you take a look at people who have had their hand in the book and also being the talent to go along with it, it hasn't gone over well. It really hasn't. We'll be fair on that one. Dusty Rhodes is actually a name on that. One. I believe Ric Flair was a piece of that during the WCW days as well. A lot of this goes with WCW, by the way. Kevin Nash was a part of that. Everything to go along with that. People who had their names in the books or on their hands on the book and were also talent, things got a little out of hand. But with everything, even with its history, you do have to sit back and give it a chance to go along with it. These guys have been kind of a different breed on that side. I feel like they'll book themselves strong, obviously, but maybe they don't just book them to win everything. Like it's been known in the past for people who have been the booker and the talent. Greg Gagne's even one of those, or not Greg, but maybe Vern Gagne was one of those ones. No, it was Greg Gagne during the AWA time, I believe, to go along with that. Those things have not had a good history on that side of everything. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with these roles as executive vice presidents. Are they the bookers, or are they bringing some other people in to be the bookers, and then they also happen to be talent, but they're also running the day-to-day operations to go along with that. It'll be interesting to see what they end out doing as that portion of it. As the press conference did go on, Chris Jericho does come out and gets in Kenny Omega's face, which is setting up for a potential match on that one. I'm a little disappointed by that, mainly because if we complain about it on WWE side, we have to do it over there as well. We've seen that match. Yes, it was a 5-star match over at Wrestle Kingdom 12. Completely understandable on that one, but we have seen the match, and for Kenny Omega's first match for an American based promotion, you kind of would have wished for a fresher match to go along with that. Though, in all fairness, I am looking forward to the time that Kenny Omega is going to go up against either Hangman Page or Pac to go along with that. So those will be definitely something for down the line on that particular one. But the matches that it looks like at this point in time will be Kylie Rae going up against Nyla Rose, SCU going up against the OE or the OWE guys. Like I said, I'm not fully familiar with their names, but I'll get myself educated on it. For right now, hopefully, again, Rey Fenix ends out it not being too serious and he's able to be well enough for this particular match. Looking forward to it as well. You have the Young Bucks going up against the Lucha Brothers. You have Hangman Page going up against Pac, and Kenny Omega going up against Chris Jericho. This could, I won't say could, will be a very good show. I think it's going to be a very good show. I will not personally be one of those that is signing up to try to get early tickets or even going to travel for this one in particular to go to the show. But I will more than likely be watching via pay-per-view or however they are on Fight or whatever it ends up being on. So I will more than likely be watching over there to go along with it. But this does pose more questions. Like I said, we got some questions answered. Who's coming in? Everything to go along with it. And we saw that. Like I said, Sony Kiss, Chucky T, Trent. You have Nyla. You had Kylie Ray and Nyla Rose. You have Aja Kong and I cannot pronounce that last name for the other one. But you have Yuka also coming in. You have Rey Fenix and Pentagon Jr. and Kenny Omega being signed into the company. This is some good stuff. You got a lot of new talent in there, and it's not just talent that everybody's just going to be, we're fully familiar with them. It's like, we're going to be seeing fresher faces. And some people are going to definitely be familiar with some of the other people's work, such as Best Friends with Trent and Chuck on that one. Aja Kong's has been around in the Japanese women's game for a long period of time. People are definitely familiar with obviously Kenny Omega and Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix's work to go along with that. So there's definitely going to be people that are fully familiar with everybody. And I'm sure there are going to be more people also familiar with Kylie Ray and Nyla Rose to go along with that. So it's definitely going to be an interesting show on that particular one, on that side of everything. So like I said, we got some questions answered. The tickets are obviously going on sale here very soon. That was answered as well. And you had the pre-sale, which ended up crashing the site, and they ended up getting 12,000 signups within a day. And I'm sure that's grown even more by the time this has come up, because I believe signups for that will be ending sometime on Sunday to go along with it. The questions that are still left to be answered, and I feel like we're going to get answers to them. And I'm going to pose another kind of question as well to go along with this. We still don't know the TV deal. We know what the rumor and innuendo is, and I'm going to keep using that like Comrade Thompson does at all times to go along with it. The rumor and innuendo is that there is a potentially really good deal out there for a network. You can even say that it was wink, wink, nudge, nudge, maybe TNT or TBS because of the work that was quote unquote being done in Atlanta. Though I think the Bucks and SCU did show up not only at the Super Bowl that was in Atlanta, but guess what's in Atlanta? The Turner Networks. On that particular one. So there's a potential for the Turner Networks to be getting wrestling back on that side, if that rumor is partially true. But whatever it ends up being, the rumor, quote unquote, from Dave Meltzer, which is kind of more like what's his source is probably the Bucks and Cody themselves on that particular one. I think he has an in with those particular guys. And lo and behold, who is in charge of AEW? That's not like the main executive of the Khan family, who own the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's the executive vice presidents, which are Cody, Kenny Omega, and the Bucks. This will be their TV deal. Will be the best non-WWE deal since WCW. Now that did pose a question, and I couldn't really find answers for it, which was, what was TNA Impact and Impact Wrestling's deals on Spike TV before they got taken off of Spike TV and had to go to Destination America, then Pop TV, then the Pursuit Channel to go along with it. within a couple of year time span. But we'll definitely have to be better than that. And it's whatever those deals were for WCW back in the day. So it'll be interesting to see where that comes. I imagine we're going to get those answers probably at Double or Nothing. That I could imagine on that side of everything. So that is a question that will definitely be answered at some point in time. I would imagine that if they're really aiming for a Tuesday show, they're probably going to be starting around October, when SmackDown goes to Friday nights over on the Fox network on that particular time. And I think that's also what they have copyrighted, which is Tuesday Night Dynamite, to go along with that. That's what they have trademarked and copyrighted at this point in time. So you would imagine it'll be on Tuesdays, and I'll imagine that they will start somewhere around October to go along with it. That way, they get a fresh start it's like a fresh new wrestling product. They're not directly trying to compete or anything to go along with that, at least in the same time slot in the same day as the main promotion, or the biggest promotion in the terms of money, revenue, and viewers to go along with that. Which would be, of course, WWE on that side of everything. So that will definitely be a question that will be answered later down the line. And again, much like what they've been doing, they've been saving some of their bigger announcements and spreading them out. Like I said, Chris Jericho was around the first rally. Kenny Omega was at this one, at the press conference for Double or Nothing, and getting the tickets out there. I would imagine the TV deal will be announced somewhere around StarCast time or Double or Nothing to go along with that. Now, this poses another question to me. This is a question I'm going to be posing out there. I don't necessarily know what the answer to this question is going to be either down the line. And that question is, how, production-wise, obviously production-wise, when it comes to AEW, what are they going to do? They have a lot of money behind them and everything. There's a lot of different things behind them and a lot of money behind them to go along with that. With the Khan family, it's reported it's $100 million initial investment. So when it comes down to it, what does their production and what does their everything look like down the line? And that's going to be something that's going to be a question answered when everything comes about as well to go along with it, because we don't necessarily know. But here's the thing that it has to be. It has to look like it's a big league. We'll put it like that. It cannot look minor league in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not going to say it's like, oh, they should just be stagnant and have the same set. Have one beautiful set for everything type of thing like you see with WWE. When you do get something that was like, hey, that looks different and looks nicer to go along with it, when WWE has had the same set pretty much for the longest period of time, and then they have the other things to go along with it. I'm not saying they have to do that, because, like I said, that's stagnant and it gets a little dull to go along with it. But whatever sets they come up with, whatever way they have in the terms of their camera crew and everything to go along with that, it has to end out looking professional. And here's the thing, they're not going to have, what am I looking for here? They're not going to have a Ring of Honor's initial production crew like they did for All In to go along with it. So they have to bring in a production team of some kind that wasn't them to help run everything. So that's something that they have to come up with. They have to make it look good. They have to make it look professional. They have to make, I won't say professional, but they have to make it look like it's a big league, not a minor league to go along with it for it to be fully successful on that side of everything. The other thing, I'm going to agree with the What Culture video that went out there of something that they should not just be doing, because there's a lot of rumors going around that WWE guys are going to be leaving and then just going over to AEW, everything to go along with that. I'm going to agree with this, that they shouldn't be signing up everybody. Fair enough on that one. They should not be just signing up everyone who leaves WWE because they have a WWE name behind them and name recognition with the WWE to go along with that. Because we've seen a company do that, and what ended up happening with them on that side of everything. Now, granted, they did get some very big names in the terms of TNA and Impact Wrestling from WWE coming over, but it was almost used as a detriment to their core people that were there, where they couldn't create their own stars out of that, because you had, like, every time, it's like you would see the AJ Styles and Samoa Joes and Christopher Daniels, and everybody started building themselves up to, rival people from WWE coming in, such as Kurt Angle's, Booker T's, and everything to go along with that. Lo and behold, another one would come in and they would just shoot them straight to the top to go along with that, because they had the name recognition with WWE, everything to go along with that, and it kind of hurt them in the end. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't bring WWE people in. They should. People who leave and are coming in, I'm saying they should do it, but they shouldn't just over push them right off the bat. They need to take lessons from other promotions that have done this stuff and say, it's like, are you really that good? Are you really as good as you say you are? Type thing, instead of just, shooting them straight to the top of everything. Now, granted, you bring in someone, I think in the terms of 2019, the Usos contract's up in April. AJ Styles' contract is up in April. Dean Ambrose's contract is up in April. So, people who've been kind of at their upper echelon. The Usos have been at the upper echelon of the tag division. Okay, they would probably be doing really well for themselves in an AEW tag division to go along with that. Obviously, AJ Styles, main event. Dean Ambrose has been in the main event before as well. People who have held the main championship. And AJ for a very long period of time was WWE champion. If people like that went in, those I can see. Those are people I could see straight to the top of everything to go along with that on that side of everything. But if you had other people going over there that have been in the mid-card side for the longest period of time, it's like, don't just sign everybody up and then push them. Type of thing. So I'm in full agreement on that one, on that side. Like I said, they should bring in people that they feel would be good for the product, but it can't just be everybody on that side of everything. And here's the question here's another question I wanted to pose. This is going to be interesting, and it kind of goes back to their production of everything again. It's like, when it comes to TV time, what arenas and what everything else are they going to be running when it comes to TV? Is it going to be live? Is it going to be taped? What type of arenas are they running? Are they going to try to run in big arenas all the time, like they're going to do with the MGM Grand, or like what they did with the Sears Center, which was an 11,000 seat arena? Are they going to try those bigger arenas for their main TV, side of everything? Because we found out one thing with AEW side. People are willing to travel for a show. They're willing to travel to a place to go to the shows and everything on that side, because All In had a lot of people travel into the Chicago area in order to go to the show. And I'm sure there's a good chunk of people that were in Chicago as well that would have been more than willing to be in to watch the show live as well. And there's going to be the same for Double or Nothing. There's going to be a lot of people traveling to go to the show. But when it comes to week-to-week TV, those people who are willing to travel for the bigger show, they're not going to travel to week TV. So, like, what, when they don't have that area of people being able to travel to their shows, what do they pull in at that point in time? And what type of arenas are they going to be doing? Are they going to be trying smaller arenas that are 5,000 to 6,000? Are they going to try to go NXT level, which is going to be about 300 to 500 people in arenas that go along with that? And how does that end out looking? And how do you make it look professional to go along with it? And you can take a look at NXT from Full Sail. It looks like a professional show. Impact Wrestling, to its own degree, looks like a professionally done show. It's just on horrible networks, and you pretty much, for me, the only way to truthfully watch it is through their Twitch page to go along with that. But here's the thing. If their weekly TV is done in front of something like the size of Full Sail versus like maybe bigger arenas, hopefully they could garner 5,000 to 6,000 people in smaller style arenas that they can make look really, really good to go along with that. Because let's be fair, and we do have to be fair about this one. As much as I like NXT and I like the stuff that I've seen, and I think AEW's done in the terms of hyping themselves and promoting themselves as a major league professional wrestling thing, that, and as much as I like that, but if they're only airing their live TV in front of 300 to 500 people, and then they're taping it multiple weeks at a time, that's not going to be, I don't know if that would be necessarily good enough. Because like I said, as much as I like NXT and everything to go along with that, it's a money loser. And let's be fair, that's going to be one of the big things about this down the line. Is it going to be a money maker? Now, merchandise, I would say they're doing pretty good for themselves at this point in time. They are putting out a bunch of stuff on Pro Wrestling Tees, everything to go along with that. It's selling a good amount to go along with that. I'll probably be ordering something somewhere down the line to go along with it. But in the end, the entire promotion has to be a moneymaker. Now, that could be helped by a very good TV deal. Now, what can we say is a good TV deal on that side of everything? Is $10 million a year a good TV deal? Is it, or do they have to be aiming even higher to 20, 30, 40, 50 million a year? Do they have to be at 100 million a year in order to make profit to go along with that? These are questions that have to be answered have to be answered down the line. And it's a question that really needs to be posed about that, because, like I said, people will be looking at this and they take a look at a lot of what NXT does, and it's different from the main roster, everything will go along with that, but it's under the WWE banner. But the last 2 years, it's lost over $20 million a year for the company. Now, granted, the company has been producing record profits, record revenue in the terms of WWE side. But if you look at just the NXT side of everything, it's lost that amount of money so far that they're willing to put, that WWE is willing to put into it, because they're expecting something in return. AEW is not going to have that. AEW is not going to have that in any way, shape, or form on that side of everything. It's going to be, they're not going to have a developmental side. It's like, hey, we're willing to take this loss somewhere because we're going to get something in return down the line on that one. They have to take a look at everything, and it's like everything that they have right now is going to have to be profitable for not only the promotion, but the aspect that, let's be fair, as much as Tony Khan really likes wrestling and everything to go along with that, if it's going to end up losing the money in the end, it's going to go away on that side of everything. So those are the questions that really have to be posed and answered down the line. These are answers I can't really go out there, but I have to throw it out there and have to think about it on that side of everything, because maybe it's just the way that I really think, or anything to go along with that, is that it's like, hey, what's this, and this, and what happens to those wrestlers if this ends out failing? And not just wrestlers that will be part of AEW, but wrestling as a whole. Well, let's be fair. If AEW is a complete and utter failure, we'll have to be fully fair, at least outside of WWE and, international ones. Now, that's the good thing about nowadays, is that we can watch a lot of international stuff. If you don't want to just watch WWE, you can watch New Japan. You have UK promotions that have their own streaming services. Even Ring of Honor has their own streaming service, but they don't. They've never been considered a major league player, because even though they're owned by Sinclair, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, they don't put a lot of money into it on that side of everything. I wonder what would happen with Ring of Honor if they actually did something like that. If Sinclair actually put more money into it. I don't know on that particular one. But I think we do have to be fair about it. Outside of maybe WWE, of AEW, at least in the terms of American, would really, in the terms of big mainstream everything, wrestling would be dead, basically. There'll be, this is the last go. This is the true last go to have something more than WWE to be considered major league. Maybe not, doing more business or anything like that than WWE, but being successful. We haven't seen that, really, in the terms of high level mainstream potential success. We haven't seen that. You can say Ring of Honor is successful because, they're still in business, everything to go along with that. You don't necessarily hear about them reporting major losses or anything on that particular side of everything to go along with it. To go along with that, Impact is still around, but they seem to move to a new network that gets less and less people on a yearly basis at this point in time, to the point that they are doing the Twitch thing to go along with that. And apparently, I think you can even rebroadcast it yourself and do live reactions while showing the actual show on your Twitch to go along with it. That's an interesting one. I'd have to look more into that. But just playing off of everything, it's potentially scary as a fan as well, that we've not had that. We had an alternative for a little while, but then it kind of went away. But to have a permanent alternative will be absolutely fantastic. And I hope to everything that AEW doesn't fail on that particular side. Because I feel like to having an alternative to the WWE in the terms of an American-based wrestling promotion, this one might be the true last opportunity at that. On that side of everything, where somebody doesn't necessarily have to go for an overseas thing to do that. As good as New Japan is and everything on that side, and I still enjoy it, but to have a choice of saying I'm here in America, I'm living here in America on that particular side. Do I go to WWE or do we go to an AEW show or anything to go along with that? And obviously you can always go to other independents, and it's always good to support the independent promotions as well on those particular ones. But in the terms of having a massive show to go to, having two great options will be great. We've only had one for the longest period of time. But how great would it be if it ends up being two? But the question has to be posed, what happens if it fails? It's just the thing that I've been kind of thinking about over the last couple of weeks, and over the last since the press conference, everything to go along with that, on that particular side. It's just, like I said, it's been something that's been running through my head, everything to go along with that. Kind of wanted to get it out there, on that particular side of everything. So that went a little bit longer than I'm not shocked at how long that ended up going. We're probably about 45 minutes into the show, and we're just kind of getting to the side of WWE side, which was Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, which this week were some very interesting shows. I don't necessarily know if they were really that good. They were a bit weird, but they were also fairly entertaining shows to go along with that. Raw, you had Becky Lynch slapping, or not slapping, but attacking Stephanie McMahon after she suspends her because, Becky won't go to the doctor. Stephanie's like, okay, you're suspended. And then she does get attacked, and then she gets attacked by Becky Lynch, and everything to go along with that. As Becky's leaving, she gets a promo from Ronda Rousey, where she ends it with, she just takes a look at the knee and goes like, ice and Advil, and then she added the B word along with it. I actually kind of thought that was a little bit funny. And that went before her match, which she ended up doing a little bit different of style of the matches on that particular one. She went up against Liv Morgan, went with really quick, which went really quickly by. Liv Morgan not getting any offense in. She tries to do like a Matrix style move, but Ronda just multiply punches her in the gut and then applies the armbar. And then she challenges anybody basically to get in the ring, but then basically challenges Sarah Logan, who gets in the ring. They have a more competitive match. It was still a rather short match on that one, but the aspect of Ronda kind of showing more aggression inside the ring, and even to the point of you're seeing her bring in a more brutal style, with the multiple punches, to start setting up the armbar, where with Sarah Logan, she just did rain down multiple right hands before applying the armbar, which I thought came off pretty good on that particular side of everything. You had Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder doing a backstage promo, which I like the whole aspect of Zack Ryder bringing up the misspelling from the week before and then continually misspelling his own name to go along with it. And he just kind of played off of it. I thought that was kind of fun. Obviously, they're playing that up as trying to end Kurt Hawkins' losing streak and everything to go along with that. It'll be interesting to see how that one ends out going off, and who they actually do get their win against down the line. You had the Revival, Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, and the B Team in what was a very good Fatal 4-Way match for a number one contendership shot, which ended out seeing the Revival pick up the victory after doing the Shatter Machine to Bo Dallas. I thought that was a really good. Fatal 4-Way match. Heavy Machinery, though not picking up the victories, has been looking really good in their particular shows. In their particular showings, and doing that again here. You had Bayley and Sasha Banks with an interview backstage, and this brought up a little bit of an interesting one. And when did all the interviewers get a backbone? Because Dasha and Charlie, and even during the interviews on SmackDown, you saw them be a little bit more assertive to the wrestlers. You had them bring up Sasha and Bayley's losses to Ronda Rousey from the week before, and Charlie was calling them failures to go along with that, or saying with these failures they're using certain keywords in there and trying to make them a little bit more forceful and a little bit more than just considered robots, I guess, on that one. That's been kind of their main thing that people have been complaining about with the announcers, is that, or not the announcers, but the interviewers, is that they've been coming off as just basic robots. Here's question, answer question, ... But they did come off as just hey, what are you going to do about this? On that particular one. I thought this was a pretty good promo. I liked how Sasha tries to get in Charlie Caruso's face, but Bayley holds her back and then cuts the promo, which I thought was a pretty decent one. And then they get interrupted by Alicia Fox and Nikki Cross, where Alicia Fox came up with the "Don't cross the Fox" line, and I'm like, that was good. That was good. That one, I'm not gonna lie, I thought that came off pretty good. To go along with that, so interesting, even though random team, interesting team for down the line, I guess, if they do want to fully go that route with Nikki Cross teaming up with Alicia Fox. You had Kurt Angle coming out and giving what seemed to be a retirement speech on that particular one, saying that he had lived his life by the three eyes and they worked for a very good period of time, but you know, he's losing to Father Time, and instead of the three eyes, it's becoming the three Ds. And he said it was defeat, depression, and I forget what the third one was. Of those particular ones to go along with it. So it seemed like he was giving a retirement speech. He gets interrupted by Baron Corbin, who starts running down Kurt Angle's, like saying it's like this should have been 2 years ago, everything to go along with that, of course, which fires up Kurt Angle, saying he was going to break his ankle. This brings out Drew McIntyre. I liked how McIntyre brings up the whole aspect. It's like, you know, you looked like you were finally going to retire, and then Baron comes out here, and now you're threatening to break his ankle, even though he beat you clean last week, to go along with it. I liked where they were going with this. They do threaten to beat down Kurt Angle. Braun makes the save. I liked how McIntyre meets Braun at the stage. And, you know, based off of what Braun was doing at that time was the reason why Drew McIntyre ended up running, because he was kind of running over everybody at that point on that one. So it didn't actually make Drew McIntyre look weak on that sense, because it's like, I need to get myself out of here because this guy's going absolutely crazy on that particular one. And I thought that came off pretty good. That set up for the tag match a little bit later on, which was ending out to be the main event of the show, which that match was a little weird, I'm not going to lie. Up next, you had Sasha Banks and Bayley going up against Nikki Cross and Alicia Fox. And Nikki Cross and Alicia Fox end out attacking Bayley and Sasha during the entrance. So basically, Sasha's music hits, but then you all of a sudden see Bayley get thrown out of the entrance area, and then they drag Sasha out there. They leave them both lying. They were going to question whether or not the match was going to happen, and it was like, yes, it was, because it did end out happening, which I thought was a pretty decent match. They did work it pretty much like a handicap style match, where Bayley got offense at the beginning, but then starts getting beaten down and worn down, beaten down by the heel team to go along with that. And Sasha does not get tagged in. She does do like one little helping bit where Nikki Cross was trying to run at Bayley and do a splash right by the ring post. Sasha pulls her out of the way. Nikki hits that, which makes Alicia Fox get the tag. She prevents the tag from Bayley, but who ends out rolling up Alicia Fox and picking up the victory. I thought it was a pretty decent match. Sasha and Bayley sold this one pretty well, actually. They sold the beatdown good, but they sold the aspect of the win even better on that particular one, because they played it off basically like, you know, they've talked so much about, you know, winning the tag team, the women's tag team titles, to only lose in a qualifying match. To go along with that, they didn't make it look like there was like, yeah, we barely won type of thing. No, they sold it as like, that was really close type of thing. Even though it was predictable that Bayley and Sasha were going to win that match, and they played it up with a decent story, because I think Sasha was still not fully cleared from the injuries, was able to go out there and at least do something, but wasn't clear to do full action on that one. They told themselves a pretty good story in the match to kind of give it some drama and everything to that particular match, where people were like, yeah, they're in the Elimination Chamber match, so they needed to kind of put some kind of drama in there. You had a backstage segment with Apollo Crews, Drake Maverick, and Razor. That was an interesting one. I guess this is going to set up some kind of match between Razor and Apollo Crews down the line. Like I said, that was a pretty interesting one to go along with it. A bit weird, and I guess in the sense of newer matchups, yeah, we haven't really seen it. Well, we've seen them in tag team action, we just haven't seen them in one-on-one action. Let's be fair on that one. But something new for down the line. We'll see how that one ends up playing out. Obviously, they're going to try to do something with Razor while Akam is out for the next couple of months. So we'll see how this one ends up panning out in the terms of matches down the line, or at least a program down the line. You had Jeff Jarrett going up against Elias, which I thought was actually a pretty good match. Jeff Jarrett, not bad in the ring still. We'll be fair. Still not bad in the ring. Elias does win the match after a drift away. Elias does try to continue on with everything, going after Road Dogg after the match, but Road Dogg gets the shake, rattle, and roll jabs in, and then Jeff Jarrett hits him with a guitar, which the guitar doesn't fully break. That one looked brutal and rough, and that was I won't say interesting, but it was just a brutal and rough looking guitar shot. They did a segment backstage with Dana Brooke and Natalya. So Natalya was packing up like all of her stuff. So packing up her stuff in wrestling gear and everything to go along with that. Dana comes in and is trying to apologize to Natalya for losing the tag team match last week. But Natalya's like not saying anything. Or anything to go along with that, which makes Dana go off because she thinks she's ignoring her. So she says she's going to go get a match between her and Natalya for next week. And then Natalya reveals that she had earbuds in and was like, what's going on? So a little comedy bit with an old comedy trope on that particular side. A bit weird again. You did have a Finn Balor interview on his match coming up with what was going to be Bobby Lashley, but it ended up being Lio Rush. I thought this was pretty good. And again, like I said, I don't fully remember what they had during the interview, but the interviewer, again, they were showing a little bit more of a personality, a little bit more forcefulness behind everything on that one. Like those a little bit more. On that side of everything, when the interviewer is going to throw something out there that's maybe going to throw the wrestler off or something, go along with that. You're getting something more than just robotic question. It felt different. It felt newer. Basically because we haven't seen it in a long period of time. Basically since the days of Mean Gene Oakland. I kind of get it now. I kind of get it. But Finn Balor does go out there for his match, and it ends up being Lio Rush because Lashley says Finn does not deserve to be in the ring with him and or going after the Intercontinental title, and says like, okay, maybe if you can beat Lio and impress me, then maybe I'll give you a match down the line, which I thought was actually a pretty good match. Obviously, Finn selling his injuries from the Kimura lock and the beatdown from last week. On those particular ones, the referee ejects Lashley in the match for interfering a little too much, and Finn Balor ends out winning the match over Lio Rush with the coup de grace. I thought it was a pretty good match, a decent side of everything. They obviously had to do a lot more selling, so it wasn't going to be like one of those little barn burner style matches where everybody's going to be doing a lot of different moves and everything to go along with that. They did have to sell, which I don't mind that as well. The factor that Finn did sell his injuries very well, I thought was pretty good to go along with that. So overall, I thought it was a good match. You had Alexa Bliss doing the Moment of Bliss segment with EC3 with basically where she's kind of playing flirtatious with EC3. And they were kind of playing that off a little bit more on commentary and everything, commentary side and everything to go along with that. I like the aspect that, well, I found the aspect of one of the reasons why she was doing that, because she makes mention to EC3 having a big bank account on that one, which plays off of his original character from Impact Wrestling, where, you know, Dixie Carter was EC3's aunt. Obviously, EC3 was, EC3 was Ethan Carter the third. So they're still playing off of that a little bit. I like that they're bringing that little nuance in there on that particular side of it. This ends out getting interrupted by Nia Jax, which I like. I like the little back and forth that they keep throwing out there, because every time one of the segments ends up happening, someone's going to interrupt everything to go along with that. I like how Alexa throws out the words, throws it out there. It's like, am I going to get through one of these without it being interrupted in some way, shape, or form? And Nia just throws it back. It's like, apparently not, to go along with it, which eventually it gets interrupted by Dean Ambrose. And Nia just throws a quip at Dean Ambrose. Is like, how dare you interrupt my interrupt? It was, I think, unintentionally funny on those particular ones. And then and then he says he was basically going to continue the interview, but not before saying that Nia needs to stay away from him. He throws a few other things that even makes Renee go like, oh, really? Type of bits. I like the stuff that he did with EC3. He was doing the whole bit of, this has been the whole thing that EC3 has basically been not talking or anything to go along with that. He's just been backstage posing and everything on that side, not doing much. And he goes like, so who are you? He does the whole who are you point, take away the microphone, everything on that one. He throws a couple of really good one-liners out there. What happened to EC1 and 2, which started posting up memes of who was EC1 and 2 to go along with it. He called him a Creed fan, like in an insulting way to be a Creed fan on that particular one. He also called him, which actually made the crowd laugh, a mute Chippendales dancer. It made the crowd actually laugh on that particular one. And eventually he gets to the point of EC3 punching him. EC3 walks down in the ring, so we have a match: Dean Ambrose versus EC3. Decent enough match. EC3 wins with a jackknife roll up. Again, with the whole aspect of Dean Ambrose saying that he's leaving after his contract's up in April. What will they really be doing with him? It looks like he's going to be doing a lot of jobs at this point in time, but we'll see how everything ends up playing out on that particular one. You did have a couple more interviews. You had a Kurt Angle interview with Braun Strowman about their tag match a little bit later. You have Mojo Rawley cutting another intense promo saying that he's sick and tired of being a team player. It's all about him now. Hopefully this brings something more, because these promos have been actually kind of good to go along with that. Then you had Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin going up against Braun Strowman and Kurt Angle. And this was a weird match because they played off of rules of wrestling that had not been used for a long period of time on those particular ones. McIntyre and Corbin end up winning by DQ because Braun Strowman struck the legal competitor, which has really been a rule. Oddly enough, has actually been the quote-unquote rule of tag team wrestling. So he had already made a save. That's an old rule as well, which apparently they're bringing these rules back. One save for tag teams. Each person on the team gets one save. To like break up a pinfall or anything like that one. Obviously has to be done in front of the referee to really be seen or anything like that. They can play off of that as well on those particular ones. You can't strike the legal competitor after a 5 count type of thing. One, and of course the tag rope, everything on that one. So they released those rules over the week. They just kind of threw them out there for this match, which made it seem weird on those particular ones. That's what ended up causing the DQ, because Baron Corbin was the legal person. Braun had been more than the 5 count, and he struck Baron Corbin. DQ. Throw out the match on that particular one. So it'll be interesting to see how long before these rules get ignored. or how long they actually just stick around on that particular one. So, like I said, it came off a bit weird. After the match, Drew McIntyre, Claymore kicks Braun Strowman on the outside, which made it seem like they were going to beat down Kurt Angle some more. They set up some steel steps in the ring. Braun Strowman is out coming back in and cleaning house, and he does a choke slam on the steps to both Drew McIntyre and then Baron Corbin, and that's how they go off the air. It was a very interesting way of ending the show. Very interesting way. Overall, I was entertained by the show, in all fairness. It was just a bit weird. You're seeing newer things, which makes it come off weird. Like I said, the interviewers coming off with a bit more of a backbone, where for the longest period of time, you just had all the other people with the interviewers just like running over them. So they started having more of a backbone and using different types of terminology to kind of stir up everyone on that particular side. And you saw it on SmackDown as well to go along with it. Because I think on SmackDown you had a Jeff Hardy interview where he talks about Daniel Bryan throwing the WWE title in the garbage to bring out his title, and said how disrespectful it was. I'm part of that lineage. And then I think it was Charlie who was interviewing him, goes like, so why didn't you do anything about it? Did you think about actually going out there and trying to stop him instead of just being in the back? Type thing. You see things like that now, and I actually kind of like that. I kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like that one. Speaking of SmackDown for February 5th, 2019, I thought overall it was a pretty good show. A lot of talking, though. A lot of talking on this show. You started off the show with Charlotte coming out, giving her fake praise to Becky and everything to go along with that. It's like, but Becky's not 100%, can't go to WrestleMania. I'm 100%. I want to fight Ronda Rousey type thing. Becky Lynch comes in through the crowd. Charlotte throws a quip out there. It's like, okay, so now you stole my father's catchphrase. Now you're stealing Roman Reigns' entrance through that one. They start getting into the war words. Triple H comes out. He's playing off the whole aspect of, wanting Becky to see the doctor. Charlotte's just egging everything on. Triple H just turns around and is like, this is none of your concern. Leave. And she leaves. And she's like, out. And Becky starts doing the whole aspect of not trusting the doctors. The last time this happened, the doctors kept me from doing it, everything on that particular one. Triple H is like, dude, Triple H is doing the whole thing of, you know what? The suspension ends once you're cleared. Otherwise, go home. So he goes to leave. Becky asks him how Steph was with everything. And that was something a little blah to it. And it's like after punching her in the face, everything on that particular one, Triple H now comes in and he's starting to go on the whole aspect that, okay, Becky's just trying to find a way out now. She's just trying to find a way out. She doesn't really want this match because he thinks that Ronda's going to expose her as a fraud. And basically says that, calls her a fraud to her face. Becky slaps him. And then Triple H does that death glare, and they just both look at it, both death glaring each other in the face, and then Becky just smiles, leaves. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good segment. Up next, you had Gallows and Anderson going up against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. I thought this was a pretty good match with Rusev and Nakamura eventually going over. They basically started off with them not really working together, but by the end, they do end up working together, where it looks like Nakamura doesn't really want to help Rusev, but he ends up helping him in the end, preventing a magic killer, and then Rusev hitting the Machka kick to pick up the victory. Maybe we see more than just one with them. One tag match with those two. Lana's back to being Lana when she was heel Lana with Rusev. To a certain degree. Not fully, but kind of there. on that particular one. You had a Mustafa Ali promo with his matchup with Randy Orton, talking about also Elimination Chamber as well. The Usos cut a promo on Shane and Miz for next week, and apparently there's going to be a segment that will be the McMiz TV. That's right, they threw McMiz in front of that. Just think about that for a couple seconds. Which ended up leading to Randy Orton going up against Mustafa Ali. I thought this was a very good match. Randy Orton does pick up the victory where it looked like Mustafa Ali was going to go for the 054, but Randy Orton grabs him by the leg, launches him off, and does an RKO. Overall, really good match. After the match, Samoa Joe comes out and destroys Randy Orton, puts him in the coquina clutch, and kicks Mustafa Ali out of the ring and ends out standing tall, which you kind of saw a little bit more throughout the entire night on that particular one. To go along with that, and it's not the only time that we see Samoa Joe. Daniel Bryan comes out as Joe is leaving. So Joe walks up. Looks like he was going to confront Bryan at the rampway. Rowan walks out. It's like, I'll think about this later. And walks away. You have Daniel Bryan cutting a promo after the commercial break. I love the factor that Daniel Bryan decided to play up to his home state love that he was getting instead of just trying to play a heel. He was like, instead of just saying that they're like all the other fans, everything with that, it's like, you guys get it. You guys get it. But I also like the factor that when Rowan cuts a promo, they do the what chance, and Daniel Bryan gets on their case for doing the what chance. That was absolutely fantastic stuff to go along with that. Calling him as intellectual, I can't say the proper word, intellectual, I can't say it. You know, because I'm not smart. We'll leave it at that. His intellectual peer, and also cuts a promo on the Elimination Chamber match, how it was unfair to him, everything to go along with that. I thought it was a pretty good segment. You had a backstage interview with Jeff Hardy. Are we getting a trend here of interviews and promos tonight? Though they were good, you were getting a lot of them. Let's be fair. That's going to be like my new thing. We're saying let's be fair about it. Though I found the show entertaining, there was a lot of talking. He cuts a promo on Daniel Bryan. AJ Styles comes in, and this is where he cuts the promo on Daniel Bryan, and like the interviewer even says, like, so why didn't you do anything about it? And then AJ Styles comes in. They start having some heated words to go along with it, and Jeff Hardy basically challenges AJ Styles what seems to be to a match next week. Up next, we had a triple threat match, which was with the women's tag division. Everybody who was going to be in the Elimination Chamber match. You know, on Raw, they had to qualify. On SmackDown, declare. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that one. So it was Naomi and Carmella going up against the Iconics, going up against Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose did cut a promo before the match as well on that particular one. And so did Naomi, basically debunking everything that Mandy Rose said the week before. Mandy Rose basically saying it's like head games. It works, apparently. Which that is the case here because Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose did pick up the victory. It was a decent enough match. It was a rather short match, honestly. And it'll be interesting to see how everything plays off with that Elimination Chamber match. They've only done tag teams in one of them, and it was okay. To say it was horrible would be probably overstating that a little bit, but it wasn't really that great. It'll be interesting to see how it works out with the women's tag team, with the women's tag team, and also the aspect of reintroducing the women's tag team titles to the company as well. It'll be interesting to see how it plays off on that one. You had an Andrade and Zelina Vega promo on Rey Mysterio. You also had a video package from about Asuka on this one, and basically saying the old Asuka's back, everything on that particular side. So we'll see how they have her being dominant down the line. And then you had Jeff Hardy going up against Daniel Bryan, and I thought they had themselves a really good. They did have themselves a really good match. Jeff Hardy ends up winning this match by DQ in the end after he hits the Swanton Bomb. Eric Rowan gets involved and throws him into the stairs. This is when Samoa Joe comes out. He attacks Rowan and then puts the Coquina Clutch on Daniel Bryan. This does bring out Randy Orton to start going out after Joe, who, of course, they start brawling. Mustafa Ali comes out, takes out both of them with a top rope drop kick. Rowan ends up giving Mustafa Ali that head palm choke slam. That is a good-looking finisher. That is a good-looking finisher. I like it. But AJ Styles comes out and he basically leaves everyone else lying and stands tall as Daniel Bryan runs off in the end. Overall, like I said, SmackDown was a lot of talking, but overall, very good show. Overall, very good show. So this brings us to NXT for February 6, 2019. And this was a fairly good show as well, and kind of setting up stuff down the line to go along with it. And guess what? The Worlds Collide tournament that happened on YouTube and the WWE Network kind of meant something. So they started off the show with Johnny Gargano cutting a promo about winning the North American title on that particular one, saying Johnny Wrestling's back. Tommaso Ciampa interrupts and he wants to celebrate this moment because both of them have singles titles. This is what they were looking for and everything. You know, Ciampa being that manipulative one, trying to get in Johnny Gargano's head at all times. But Johnny said the only reason why he came out there to show that he had the North American title is to show that he can do this without Ciampa. Though Ciampa lays claim to everything that Johnny Gargano has done and changing his attitude and everything. They get interrupted by the Velveteen Dream. Dream comes out, and this is where he announces that while they were busy doing everything at with TakeOver, where he's just stole the show by showing up, he also won the Worlds Collide tournament, which gives him a title opportunity of his choosing, and he ends out choosing Johnny Gargano. That's an interesting choice. Maybe they're playing it off the aspect that he is choosing Johnny Gargano because he beat Johnny Gargano before and he would like to go for that North American title. But when you get a title choice of your choosing, shouldn't you be just going after the main title on that one? I guess that's a question to pose on that. But he ends up choosing Johnny Gargano, and that would be his championship opportunity. There wasn't really a physicality side of everything to this particular one. Johnny Gargano leaves, and so does Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa kind of just stays there, holding the NXT title as both of them kind of do a stare down. Decent enough stuff there, but really it leads you to questions like, you get an opportunity at any title. You go for what would be considered the secondary title instead of the main title. Interesting choice, I guess. You had Jackson Riker going up against Mansoor. This is a rather short match. It was a squash match with Jackson Riker going over. Not too much more to this. He does continue the beatdown after the match, but that doesn't really leave a little bit any more to the Riker character or the Forgotten Sons characters or anything to go along with that. Just kind of a match to put him over. You had Ricochet doing a photo shoot. Charlie Caruso was wanting to get an interview and talking to the cameras like, I'm going to get an interview with him. Adam Cole interrupts, starts running down Ricochet and how he's going to eventually go for the North American title. But Ricochet comes in. He ends up challenging him to a match. He even says, like, did I knock a couple of screws loose up there when I beat you for the North American title? And eventually Adam Cole accepts, which we are going to get that match next week. They do also announce that Johnny Gargano is going to go up against Velveteen Dream in 2 weeks. So we're going to get that match then. You have up next Drew Gulak going up against Eric Bugenhagen. That is an interesting name. And an interesting character. Because, man, can that guy hit a high note. he hits a high note. He was playing everything to kind of like playing up a kind of a rock and roll style thing where he was even playing the ropes as drums and as a piano and everything to go along with that. This ends out being a fairly entertaining match because you have Drew Gulak, who's being like super serious at all times. But you have this guy, Eric Bugenhagen, who is just more of entertainment. Like if he does an abdominal stretch, he also does the guitar strum to go along with it. It's actually interesting to see what they're going to do with this guy, because he seems to have a lot of natural charisma and everything to go along with that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think they even had like a quote unquote encore performance that was an extra on the YouTube channel, which, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what they do with this, and are they going to be doing more with him? After the match, Drew Gulak complains about his competition. He's like, I came down here as one of the best technical wrestlers from 205 Live, everything to go along with that, and this is the competition you're now giving me. He challenges anyone, and lo and behold, who does he get? He gets Matt Riddle. And they went out there and they had a fantastic match. The two of them was like just a fantastic technical style match. Drew Gulak doing the manipulating the joints areas, everything to go along with that. I thought this was really well done. Matt Riddle ends up picking up the victory with the Bro Mission in the end, and they shake hands after the match. They kind of do it Macho Man and Mega Power style, where they go like this and then do the handshake on that particular one. I thought this match was very entertaining. I haven't really said it this week. This is a match to actually go back and watch type of match. I thought this was really good. Up next, you had Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and Bianca Belair going up against Shayna Baszler, Jessamyn Duke, and Marina Shafir. And I thought this was a decent match. I thought this was decent. But you can definitely tell if they are looking forward to a 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match, they're ways away. They're a little ways away on that particular one, on that side. So, to be 100% fair on that, you can definitely tell they're in the, both Duke and Shafir are in the early stages of their training. You did get some you can't wrestle chance, but I mean, let's be fair. They are throwing themselves out there early, and they're getting that opportunity. But they've only had a couple months of training, really, I think. So I don't expect too much from them right now. You had, and in the end, Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and Bianca Belair do pick up the victory, with Io Shirai hitting her moonsault on Shayna Baszler to pick up the victory. This is after Kairi Sane hits the Insane elbow. You also, Bianca Belair does her finisher to Shayna Baszler, so she eats all the finishers before getting pinned by Io Shirai's. I also like the whole aspect of Bianca Belair was not too pleased about not being the one that got the pin or anything in the match to go along with it. As the others were trying to celebrate, she was just like, no, no, and kind of like half-hearted smile to go along with that. Overall, pretty good stuff from that side of everything. Overall, even though Raw and SmackDown were kind of interesting and weird and just felt different on those ones, I found myself entertained on those particular sides of everything. And we've run a little bit longer this week than we traditionally do, which is actually okay as well. I do have one more thing as well. So, before we finish off the night, I got a little package here. And this one is from Topps. So, Topps does something for pay-per-views and everything. For pay-per-views and everything on that side, what is called Topps Now cards. And I'm a big fan of trying to get special stuff for like events I go to. So these ones were for the Royal Rumble. I got the NXT ones as well, and I'll be interested to see. I'm also a big trading card. I'm a big trading card person as well. So It will be interesting to see how these ones come out. So basically what Topps now is they have current event stuff, and they get them onto the card. On that particular one, they make them limited for a day, for 24 hours, so they can only be purchased for 24 hours on those ones. So I figured, since I like trading cards and I went to the Royal Rumble, might as well as get them. Now, if I do this down the line even more, it'll be interesting to see. But I want to see how they, package everything and bring it to you. Do they do anything to protect the cards while it's in the mail to go along with that? That's kind of what we're doing here. So it's a kind of a review as I'm opening up everything. So they do put it in bubble wrapped, like basic bubble wrap envelope, something you could get in any. I'm not going to show the other side because you might still be able to see the addresses and everything. I'm not going to show that stuff on that particular one. But they do put it in the bubble wrap style ones that you can pretty much get at any type of store that has any type of mailing to go along with it. So let's see here. They have some extra stuff. Okay, they have the receipts in here. Oh, okay, so this is even better. And I'll have to double check this as well, because according to this, they check off the stuff on this particular one as it comes out there, and they have all 10 cards, 6 of them for the Royal Rumble, and then 4 for the NXT Takeover show. So let's see here. Do they do anything extra? Oh, it looks like they do. They do something extra here. It looks like for the cards themselves, they do put them in a second thing of bubble wrap on those second thing of bubble wrap on those particular ones. I was holding that a little low. So they do something to try to protect the cards as much as they can. So let's see here. Let's fully see on these ones. I like that. It's available, Topps.com. They show you where it comes from. Everything to go along with that. See what else they do with these. Oh. So they do go a little bit out of their way to protect the cards as much as they possibly can. So this is how they kind of come out. Usually it's usually a showing of the winners. I'm going to try to get that as close as I can. There we go. On those particular ones. And it's, like I said, the main special aspect to it is that they are only made 24 hours available for 24 hours after when they become available. So once that is done, they don't reprint, basically. So it looks like with the cards themselves, let's see here. Is there a way of opening this? Or do I want to open it? Because the cards themselves, it looks like there is a way of opening it. There we go. So they do go out of their way to kind of protect the cards, which is kind of cool on that particular side of everything. They do go out of their way to try to protect the cards. And then I'm going to probably put them into other protectors themselves since I have them out now. So you have the War Raiders. You have War Raiders card. You have Johnny Gargano. Okay. And these come out as pretty good quality pictures as well. I might do these for other pay-per-views as well. Shayna Baszler's win. Tommaso Ciampa's win. They have Asuka. So the first 4 were from NXT TakeOver. The other 6 are going to be from the Rumble itself. Ronda Rousey for her win. Usually they only do the winners as well. So do the main winners to go along with it. So I expect to get a Brock Lesnar one out of this. Actually, I know what cards you're supposed to get out of this. As this one is gonna, I don't want to do anything weird to the card. But it's become stuck. Uh-oh. Staticky. A little staticky. So, you have Daniel Bryan. And Brock's. And then, of course, the two Rumble winners themselves. So Becky and Seth Rollins. Okay. These cards actually came out better than I thought. They really did come out better. They have like a little hologram on the back. They don't number them or anything. It doesn't look like. Yeah, they don't really number them or anything to them. But overall, I thought those were pretty good. And like I said, I usually try to get something special for shows that I go to on that particular side of everything. I'm going to get those guys into some other card protectors at this point in time on that one. And that is it for the show this week. So for everybody who tuned in, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a great week. Peace out. Take care. Have a good one.